Greetings to one and all. We have with us Mr. Pratik Permey, a 22-year-old aspiring artist who recognizes himself as a queer individual. He has a bachelorette degree in economics and volunteers to work on social issues by associating himself with the organizations like NSS, UNI, and Sanjeevani Life Beyond Cancer. We are really elated to have you, sir, at Rayy as our first guest for the Pride Month. So, without any further wait, let's jump on to the questions regarding our topic, all things LGBTQ. So, my first question, sir, is what is gender fluidity to you?
According to me, gender fluidity is a condition, I would term it that way because I don't have any other terms, where a person's gender is not restricted to one. Just for an instance, I'm a biological male, but I feel like a male, female, and also a lot of other non-binary genders inside me. So this is my case of gender fluidity.
All right. And what point of time in your life were you sure about your sexuality?
That's actually an interesting question because I'm still not sure about my sexuality. I term myself as sexually fluid or sexually queer too, but the only thing I have confirmed yet is my gender identity, that is gender fluid. Regarding my sexuality, many people assume that I am a homosexual man, and yes, most of my attention goes to men and I love men. But sometimes there are a few instances when I'm attracted to trans men as well, trans women as well per se. So I am also at the verge of exploring it way further.
All right. So when did you come out as a queer individual in front of your family or friends? At what point of your time in life?
There was not a particular point of time in life where I exactly came out. In fact, the entire coming out has been a trend nowadays, and I don't oppose it. It's fine that people are very comfortable now and coming out of their shells, but I personally am kind of lucky maybe because I never had to come out that way. Mostly because I am my true authentic self always, and whenever people look at me, they either go like, okay, this is a queer individual. There is no way this person is not queer at all. And when it comes to my parents and my friends, the closest ones always knew that I was extremely queer and I did not fit into the norms set by the society. And hence they were extremely supportive of whatever I was. And I am blessed to have friends and family that I have now.
That's really nice, sir. So LGBT individuals experience a range of social, economic, and medical disparities that jeopardize their long-term health. So did you face any mental health issues in your journey till now?
Definitely. And the saddest part of it all was that I did not even realize. So my entire childhood was very lonely because I was a single child, and my entire village almost outcasted me because I was very feminine and I did all the non-stereotypical things which others did not prefer doing. So I was a lonely child, I had a lonely upbringing, and I was not happy most of the times. And in fact, after I turned to the age of 16 or 17, 18 exactly, that was when I realized that my entire childhood was very depressing. In fact, I was blessed that I did not know the words depression or anxiety back in my childhood, and I was just going with the flow. But after so many years, I actually recognized that it was sad and depressing all along, and it was kind of sad that I realized it really late. But yeah, that happened, and hence I would say that mental health has been an issue that I was dealing with prior to 2020. I would like to say that before 2020, I was a totally different person. After 2020, I discovered a lot of things. When the entire country was in lockdown, I was sitting at my computer to figure things out because that was the verge moment. I did not know what to do because people were hating on me for so many reasons I did not know. There were WhatsApp groups created which said Beep Inc., Pratik Permey, and basically groups where they would talk bad things about me. And those were the people who I thought were close to me, and hence I was really disappointed. So I started doing my research, like, is this wrong? What am I? Am I not supposed to be this way? And after a lot of
therapist?
Sorry?
Did you consult a therapist regarding the issues you were facing?
Yes. In fact, it was my psychologist who actually told me that I was depressed since a long while. It was just my strong will and my will towards finding happiness or being happy that actually pushed me further. And he was glad that it happened this way and not the other way around. Because there were very hard times when, throughout the day I would be smiling, but at the end, when I'm in my bed, I would cry for no apparent reason. Mostly because, people call me gay, faggot, and there were so many other degradatory terms that I can list out, but I would not like to. And that led to a lot of anxiety, social pressure, and mental health issues. But here's the fun fact, I did not know about it because mental health was not so talked about before the demise of Sushant Singh Rajput. And I started preaching about mental health only after 2018 because I actually lost my best friend to cancer. I was doomed, totally mental breakdown. I quit education for a whole year, not because I was preparing for JEE mains, JEE advanced, or even NEET, those doctor examinations. No, it was completely for the sake of my mental health. And I would term that leaving my social life, leaving my education for 1 year was very necessary for me because everything was toxic. I was in a college called Cotton College. It is one of the most well-known colleges, and there I was very well known for being a stage performer and also for being openly queer and vocal about everything. Although I had a lot of well-wishers, the number of people who wanted to drag me down was very huge, and it was very kind of traumatizing. And thank God I am out of all of it and I am the way I am now. And in fact, people ask me why I am so happy all the time and I preach so much self-love. I'm filled with self-love and happiness. It is because I have seen darkness. I have been in a phase where there was no one to guide me and I did not even know what was wrong or what was right. It was sheerly my subconscious mind pushing me through and telling me that you have a bigger purpose in life and maybe I'm living it right now.
That's really good. That's really nice, sir. So another question for you is, if you had the power, what are some laws you would have written down in our constitution, in our Indian constitution?
Okay, this is an interesting power and I would love to have a power like this. Instead, if I had a power like that, I would make sure that there was an article specifically designed to respect people for the person they are, not their gender, their social status, their economical background. And I think if this article was constructed very well, I think this would have benefited everyone. There would be gender equality in here. There would be sexual
like an
equality.
Anti-discriminatory law.
Yeah, anti-discriminatory law. And it's not just focusing the LGBTQIA people, it's focusing everyone as a whole, because I feel like we all are different and we all have our queerness inside us. Maybe it's not the sexuality or maybe it's not the gender orientation, but we all have something queer inside of us. And I think no one should be ashamed of it.
True. And so what about that gay marriage is still not legal in India? We cannot still, what about that? What do you think?
Well, honestly, India really has a long way to go. And
right.
Yeah, as we all know that India is one of those countries which has been looked up to because we have a very old and one of the first, civilizations. So yeah, marriage might have been one of those cultures which have been brought up by India itself. I don't know because I am not that historic. I don't have the proper knowledge about it, so I won't go there. But time through, it has been put up that marriage is like a social contract between two whole families, and it is more like carrying your legacy down the line. And I think that Indian people view gay marriages in such a way that what if they get married, they can't raise children. It's stopping their minds from accepting gay marriages completely. Well, the only thing I would like to say is, this is society, this is life. Even Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter has an upgrade button. So I think our life should have an upgrade button as well. And we need to upgrade our thoughts regarding marriage, because earlier marriage, predominantly when people did not even know how to speak. Earlier, I think marriages were just because of carrying out their legacies and having children and sticking together as a couple for a longer while. But I think now the concept of marriage has changed, and I think love wins over legacy here.
Right. So once in an interaction with someone, I was told that they're not against the queer community in general, but they would not be able to accept a family member to be a gay, a lesbian, or transgender. This homophobic view is more prevalent because of the lack of awareness and existing social norms about sexuality. So our minds are conditioned to think in a certain way because the term chakka or hijra is still used to humiliate someone. With regards to this, what would be your advice to someone who is still in the closet due to this fear?
What I would like to say is, I totally respect your decision, whatever you have to do. If you are comfortable in your closet, be there. Do not compromise anything for your mental or spiritual well-being, and come out only when you're comfortable. I understand, as a very queer individual, I would like to term myself as mentally very strong, because whenever I walk out, I mean, today I'm like this in an interview, but if you look at my other interviews, I am always full makeup, and if I pass by, people would question, like, is this a guy or a girl? But yeah, that's how people term me. And whenever I go out there, always degradatory terms about my body, about the way I present myself, about how queer I am, but it does not affect me. And this is where the difference comes. Not everyone is same, not everyone has the same mental status, and that's why coming out is an issue for a lot of people, and I totally respect it. And our Indian society is very, I don't even have the word for it, they're very kind of subconsciously homophobic. When they have a gay friend, not let's say not a friend, when they see a gay person, they're like, okay, I'm fine with that person being gay, but someone from my family cannot be gay. Right. And here's what I have to say: they have homophobia deep inside their mind, in their subconscious mind, not in their conscious mind. That's why they're so comfortable when someone else is gay or transgender, but they cannot accept their own family member or own brother to be like that. And I would like to tell you that honestly, yes, society has a role to play in there. Society has framed everything. Society has framed that being queer is not fine. Society has framed that if you're a man, be a man, you don't need to cry, you need to be strong. If you're a woman, be eloquent, or speak in a certain way, sit in a certain manner, and do not talk back to someone who is a male. Society has put up so many standards that we have to live up to, and that's why many people, subconsciously, they don't want their family people to be gay or queer. And I don't know who is to blame here. I really don't. Maybe it's the society, maybe it's the customs that we have been following. But things really need to change. This is a request actually. If you feel like someone in your family is gay and queer, I request you that you don't say anything bad to them. You are their brother or sister or mother. You have your entire rights to be concerned about them. But there is nothing wrong in being queer or being the way they are. It's just supposed to be that way. And if you stop them from being that way, then you are wrong somewhere. Kindly rethink it.
Right. So where should one find support if one's parents, family are ashamed by their sexuality?
Thank you so much. This is an interesting question, because throughout my entire childhood, teenage, and even young adulthood, and even right now, I have never referred to my family for, emotional help or mental help or anything of that sort. And I have always found my comfort within my friends out there. The best thing about being so queer and being from the LGBTQIA plus community is you get to choose your family at some point. Right now I'm not related with blood or DNA to some people, but they are my family because they accepted me with open arms, just the way I am. They don't care what my gender identity is. They don't care if my sexual identity is very fluid or it's like very questionable. They really don't care. They just appreciate me for the human being I am. And that actually helped me develop the self-love for me. So in case your family does not accept you, and even if your friends do not accept you, there will be a few people in your life who will come in there, give you a nice embrace and tell you that everything is going to be okay. You are just the way you're supposed to be, and come on, God makes no mistakes.
Right. So, next question is, what according to you should or can be done in schools on a basic level so that this concept is normalized since the beginning of our education?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would like to say that I think this is actually an initiative to be already taken by the concerned authorities. I think subjects like sex education and gender studies should be introduced from a very early stage, because these are the topics I never knew back in my village. I'm from a village, honestly speaking. And in my village, we did not have queer representation even if someone was gay, they were forced to be married with a woman and continue their legacy. And I don't think they have some fault there. It's obviously the society and their norms in flaw, but representation is always necessary. Like growing up, if we want to see that okay, how is a woman like, our first inspiration is our mom. Okay, so to be a woman we need to be like our mom. And if there is some other reference that's a male, we need to look up and say, okay, if you want to be like a male, be like your father. But what about the gray spectrum? I mean, things are so binary nowadays. People term everything as male and female. Even if two guys or two girls are in a relationship, people usually ask, so who is the girl and who is the guy in the relationship?
Right.
Like, you understand that concept, right? They always go with the husband-wife concept in everything. And being binary is like almost blinding yourself. It's like, what do I tell you? The doctor prescribes you a lens to see the entire world, but you are, confined to your hypermetropia, and you're just comfortable with reading your newspaper without the glasses. And this was a totally exaggerated scientific example, but let's damn it. I just want to say that people term things as binary, male or female, but there is so much in between, so much in the gray spectrum, the non-binary spectrum, pan-gender, gender neutral, gender fluid, and whatnot. Even I have not explored everything. Even I don't know everything. Even right now I'm learning. I learn one new thing about LGBTQIA plus almost every day. And it is actually a very interesting thing. And what was the question? I completely slipped.
So, the question was that what can be done in schools on a basic level, according to you?
Yes, definitely. I think the basic things that should be done are introducing sex education, introducing gender studies, and mostly reintroducing moral science, because I had moral science in my school days, and those were stories, inspiring stories, mostly based on self-love and respect towards others. I think children should be taught at a very early age in their schooling that they should respect each and every individual, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their sexual orientation is.
Right. So, what are your views on cross-dressing?
Thank you so much. I think the term cross-dressing is very degradatory to the LGBTQIA plus community, because I, as a genderqueer person, I don't believe that dresses out of everything have a gender. I feel like they're gender neutral, and a person, whoever they are, they can dress up just the way they want to. In fact, I am a very fashion forward queer person, so my fashion choices are not so obvious, and I sometimes walk out wearing a skirt and a heel but a masculine shirt, and a stereotypically masculine shirt, and people usually question, what the hell is this? This is not supposed to be this way. This is wrong. Now here's the fun fact. The entire society termed everything as right or wrong. Pants for boys, skirts for girls, salwar for girls, this for boys, dhoti for boys. These are the certain things men should do, and these are the certain things women should do. But I say, damn the rules. In fact, the society is moving forward, so I think even we should move forward with our fashion choices. And hence, I would like to term the term cross-dressing as kind of degradatory when it comes to gender equality, because it reintroduces the factors that cross-dressing basically means that you're a man but you're wearing a woman's clothes, or you're a woman but you're wearing a man's clothes, and I think that's not necessary. Hence, you should not use the term cross-dressing anymore, because dresses don't have a gender.
All right. So my next question is about pronouns. How to normalize not assuming them in order to not offend people?
That's very interesting. And when I first came to know about pronouns, it was, I think, 2018. And the trend started in the West, obviously. The culture totally was pushed down from the West to the East and the entire globe. And actually, I don't know the dates exactly, but in 2017-18, there was a huge dispute over non-binary. I think it was only after 2017-18 that the non-binary term was very brought into the mainstream media and the entire, culture, that, people started questioning what about them, and hence the pronouns they and them were introduced. And hence, since then, the importance of pronouns have been very fundamental in the LGBTQIA plus community. Nowadays, I think if you're confused with someone's identity and you cannot identify what they are, you can go and ask them, excuse me, can I ask what your pronouns are, or may I know your pronouns? It's like a very, humble thing to do, because honestly, even I get confused. Like, I cannot directly look at someone and say, like, okay, that person's pronouns is he or they. I cannot judge it. So if you presume things, that's basically judging, and I don't think you should do it. And many people presume the pronouns based on how they are. I mean, here is something I would like to say. A girl could dress up, as the society terms, in a tomboyish manner, and people usually take it as, okay, maybe their pronouns are he and they. But that's not the fact. Maybe that girl just wants to wear dresses like that. Maybe it makes her feel comfortable. And you should never presume it, because her pronouns could be she and her as well.
Right.
So that's about it. And when it comes to pronouns, everything is very, blurry. Like, you cannot tell what is what specifically, and very, in a pointed manner. Hence, you should always address someone asking what their pronouns are before you talk to them.
All right. So my next question is how to tackle unsupportive parents.
How to tackle unsupportive parents? Okay, very interesting question, I'd say. Yeah, I have heard a lot of stories. In fact, I have friends whose family do not support them for being what they are. And in most of the cases, what happens is they're either being outcasted from the family and they have to live a life away from their family and depend on themselves for everything, or they're being forced to marry. So how to tackle unsupportive parents is a very good question. What I would like to say here is, if you have to choose between your identity and your self-existence and your family and what they want for you, I really feel like go what your heart says, because not everyone's life is the same. The society is very complicated, and not everyone has the guts to go up to their parents and say that you are wrong. I am queer, that has nothing wrong in me. Your mentality is wrong. It's, very confusing. In fact, this question is creating some anxiety in my mind, that what of those people whose parents do not accept it? Because I'm lucky enough that my mom, my dad, they're from a village. They don't know what the term gender fluidity is. When I explained, the only thing they got from the entire conversation was that I have a girl and a guy inside me. They did not get the rest of it. And hence I term myself lucky, because although they do not know the terms or do not know the concept, they accept me for the way I am. And for those whose parents who do not accept you the way you are, I think that's when your self-love and existence comes in. Never be scared to fight for your identity, for your existence, because that's what the entire masses from the LGBTQIA plus community has been doing since time and ages. Since like 1960s, there has been revolutions there. Since 28th of June 1969, there has been pride marches, and these things are done to validate being queer, and that the fact that being queer is not so bad. In fact, the origination of the term queer is very, what do I call it, derogatory, because queer means something strange, and hence I would like to say that being queer or being strange is nothing wrong. The only thing wrong is the mentality of the people who judge you.
All right, thank you so much. So next question is for our LGBT viewers. How to deal with thoughts like I'll end up alone for my choices as a queer individual?
Thank you so much for this question. I'm thinking about it because at one point, even I started thinking that what if I end up alone? What if no one marries me? What if no one falls in love with me? What is going to happen? And I think society has a huge part to play here, huge, because since my early childhood, I've been seeing that people grow up. They complete their education, they get a job, and then they get married, and then they have kids, and that's how life is supposed to be. But here's the fun fact: that's life according to the society since like the first BC, I don't know. And this is where you have your chance to prove everyone wrong. Life is not so monotonous, and life has different outcomes. We all are different at different stages. Even twins and triplets have their own differences. Although they look the same, they don't get the same lifestyle. And this is what I have to say: I might be gender fluid, you might be gender fluid, but we don't have the same lifestyle, or we don't experience the same life that we do. So our choices and everything will determine us, the way we go forward. And given the fact that the question was how to deal with the thought of ending up lonely, well, I don't want to say anything depressing at all, but in a human's life, or in a life, we were born alone and we will end up alone in a grave. So in the midway, we'll find many people who will hate us, people who will love us for absolutely no reason, people who will want the bad for us, people who will always want the good for us. And it totally relies on you. What I would like to say is, make the right choices, follow your heart, and follow whatever is right according to your heart, and then I think you will never end up alone.
All right, thank you, sir. My next question is, what are your views on sex reassignment surgery?
Oh, sex reassignment surgery. My view is that if you want to have a sex reassignment surgery, then you should definitely do it. It's a definite choice, obviously, and whoever does a sex reassignment surgery is termed as transsexual, which is a very outdated term, and that's why they fall under the spectrum of what do you call it? Wait, trans. Yeah, that's why they fall in the spectrum of the trans community. But here's what I have to say: the trans community does not only represent people who have performed sex surgeries, and they have turned from a boy to a girl, or a girl to a boy. Trans include the whole mass where one's assigned sex at birth does not match their identity. So here's the difference between sex and gender. When we talk about sex, it's assigned at birth. Whenever we have a male genitalia, it's a biological male. Whenever we have a female genitalia, that's a biological female. And whenever there is a mix of traits in the genitalia or the physical appearance, then it's termed as intersex. And after that, if you're born a male and you always feel like you're trapped in the wrong body and your gender is actually female, then if the thought strikes that you really want a sex reassignment surgery because only then you'll feel comfortable, I say follow your heart. Nowadays science and technology has gone to a very far extent, and everyone can change if they wish to. What I have to tell you is, choose it from the heart. Do it if you want to, not because the social media represents trans people in a certain way. You can be trans without the transition too. I mean, without the technical and the surgical transition. But my only point is, if you're comfortable, do it, because people nowadays have body dysmorphia, and if you don't know what that is, people are not comfortable in the way they look, and it does not comply to gender. It complies to the entire body structure and the, what do you call it, their satisfaction with themselves in their body. Some people are kind of obese and fat, and they're very happy with it. They can live with it. But some people who are fat and obese, they're not happy with the fact. They always try to lose weight, but somehow for certain reasons they're not able to, and they end up being body dysmorphic. Same goes to the ones who are about to perform sex reassignment surgery. They really cannot see themselves in a male body, and that's why they transition into a woman, and there's nothing wrong in it. If you want to have it, just go for it.
All right. Thank you, sir, for answering all our questions and queries. Any words you would like to end the session? Concluding words.
First of all, thank you for interviewing me, and extremely sorry for coming on this week.
So you look wonderful.
Thank you so much, but I still have oil in my hair. I have not showered yet. In fact, I was sleeping before this happened, and when it was like 4:54, I was like, oh my god, I have a Zoom meeting to attend. And first of all, really, thank you so much to Harshit for recording this. Thank you so much to the entire Rayy Foundation, and for the viewers watching this. Rayy Foundation is an NGO community organization based in Bangalore, and they have been doing amazing work when it comes to gender equality and stuff like those, and fighting the social norms whichever exist in our society. So please give them a visit. Visit Rayy Foundation's page on Instagram, which is rayy.foundation. You can find them there. And just the last two messages I would like to put up. One, for people from the community. So people from the community, whoever is watching this, I would like to tell you that before you love someone else, love yourself. In this world, self-love is very almost negligent. We do things to impress everyone. I have seen people who are thinking of transition just to marry a guy who tell them that, only if you transition to a woman, I'll marry you then. And I don't think that's right. You do you exist the way you exist, and in this world full of 7.3 something billion people, you will definitely find your match. You'll never end up alone. People will embrace you with open arms. And secondly, to the homophobic people, or subconsciously homophobic people who are watching this, listen, it's okay to be illiterate, it's okay to not know things, but what's not okay is hating someone for the reason that they're queer or they do not fit into the social norms. What's not okay is hurting someone emotionally, physically, or spiritually just because they are different. Reconsider it. I'm preaching mental health here because our actions have consequences. Your words will affect someone in a good or bad manner, and the choice is entirely yours. And if because of your words someone takes a wrong step, and you are totally to the blame. I mean, the movie Three Idiots puts that forward, like how the pressure from the principal actually made the student commit a suicide, but the police will never consider that factor as a murder, because obviously it's like mental health and everything playing on. What I would like to say is, please reconsider your words. Do not hurt anyone emotionally or physically. Even if you're homophobic, you exactly don't have the rights to hate any human being for being themselves. But if you want to, please continue, but do not hurt anyone. And lastly, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.